Okay. All right. So we're waiting for others to join us here. We have Jessica on. Let's see here. Give me a quick second. I got to tune up everything that I'm doing. All right. So once everyone joins us, we'll begin here. Not now. Jessica, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Now I can hear you.
Hello?
Now I can hear you.
Hello.
Nice. All right. Hey, Ajita.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I couldn't get into class.
Yeah.
None of the links were working.
Yeah.
They weren't. I didn't try anything else. I just saw my phone. I saw that you guys.
It's so weird because Annette, our guest that's here right now.
I don't know if Beata was able to get in. I do not see her name on here, but I see a new person.
Yeah, that's our guest right here.
We can't hear you, Tony. You're on mute.
Okay, hold on. Technology. There we go.
There you go. We can hear you now.
All right. Let's see here. I'm going to stop video just for a second. So, what we're going to cover here today, we're just waiting. I think Beata is joining right now. All right.
Oops.
All right, Beata, you're on. All right, so good evening, everyone. So, as you know from the last session that we had, we went over the requirements and with some of the requirements that we captured, we wanted to understand out of the interview that we were, facilitating. We wanted to understand more of the requirements, and we set up questions for everyone to join us on the engaging the customer and getting answers that will help build the business need for the actual application. And thank you for joining. We're also live via YouTube for this session, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. All right. But your faces are not being shown, so just know that. So you're good. Okay. So only person that I received requirements from was Jessica.
I wasn't able to do the assignment, unfortunately.
Okay. That's
it's
fair.
finals week, so I have like a lot going on.
Oh yeah. So you're doing double time, huh? Double.
Yeah, I'm a full-time graduate student. So.
Oh, a grad student?
Yeah, okay. It's not fun.
So all right, so let's get started here. So Annette, can you hear us? You may be on mute. Annette, you're on mute. She may not be able to hear. Hold on, let me check something real quick. Give me a second, everyone. Annette, can you hear me? Oh, you can hear. Oh, but you're on mute though. She just texted me. You're on mute, Annette. You can't. No, we cannot hear you. Sorry, everyone, for these challenges here. Let me see. I haven't muted you, so you're in good standing with me. You got it there? Okay, so While she's working out the technical difficulties, whenever you're ready, just let me know, Annette, and then we'll just start from there. Um, so when before the customer enters the room, or uh, you will want to make sure that you're prepared. If you're going to present something on the screen, come a little bit early, 20 to 15 minutes, I would say, because you never know what type of technical difficulties you'll run into. So what I found that was very helpful as a BA is to have that as concrete as possible and don't deviate by that rule, because the last thing you want to do is show the customer that you're unprepared, and that will display as a BA who doesn't understand the organization. They'll totally lose respect for you and will waste your meeting, by asking stupid questions and just huffing and puffing. You'll see one of these things. If they're in the room sitting up there like that, they don't really want to be in your meeting, and they're literally just in there just to waste time and then just to engage you in an aggressive way. I've went through a few of those that I had to, let out early and then readjust and come back and come with something valuable and in a type of focus group type of format, and was able to engage them better and have a valuable and meaningful meeting, and that's very important. The other thing is, when you are having, Annette, we can't hear you. Are you trying to talk?
Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you. Okay.
Yay!
Yeah. So Annette, you're showing your video, or you're driving just like everybody else?
My video is on, but you can't see me because I am in my car. So sorry.
Okay. So same thing with Beata. She's, usually one of us are driving on the Zoom, at least, right?
Right.
So it's okay. So I'm just explaining, like, before we, begin the session, I'm explaining what will be the things that you would prepare yourself with, how you can prepare yourself before you come to the meeting, and some of the things that you want to look out for. All right. So knowing that you had your last elicitation and where you last left off, and this could go through several sessions of collecting requirements and then writing requirements, clarifying them. But each meeting that you have with a stakeholder, you want to confirm requirements as once they finish, once they say what they need to say and they confirm it, you write it out, they look at it and say, okay, I agree, let's move on. Keep trucking, keep writing, the features or the requirements for whatever they're trying to produce the solution for that specific solution. So with that being said, the client enters the room. So last week we dealt with Annette, and I was acting as Annette, but I didn't have the hair and nothing like that, or my lipstick on. But I had, so you all engaged me with questions, and so right now Annette's going to, I want her to introduce herself since she didn't get a chance to last week, and then kind of talk about what you do, and then let's go into this mock session for gathering requirements. And when you're done with your spiel, just go ahead and I'll kind of talk the team through. So give us a brief overview of what you do as a VA.
Okay. So hi everybody, my name is Annette Robinson, and I'm in the car right now, sorry. But I have been a business analyst for 14 years now, and I love doing what I do. I worked in the corporate world for like 12 years, but I got an opportunity to go out on my own, and so I'm a freelance business analyst now. That's not very common, but it does exist. And my primary clientele are small business owners. So every business can use business analysis, especially small businesses, because they probably have more need for it than anybody else. But the need is there just like it is in a big business. So those are the people that I'm working with now. I enjoy it. It brings a whole different perspective to business analysis. So that's just a little bit about me. I'm not going to go on and on because I want to get into these questions. So I watched the YouTube video that you guys did last week, and it was really, really good. You ended up with some good questions. But I kind of want to pick up where we left off, and just warning, I'm going to be a little bit difficult, okay?
the difficult
because
stakeholder.
I am telling you, your clients can be very difficult. Internal, external, it does not matter. You think that you understood what they said the first time around, and then they come back and they've either changed their mind or they've talked to somebody else and now they're an expertise in an area. They're an expert in an area they weren't an expert in before.
Hold on, that sounds like the feds.
I'm sorry?
That sounds just like the federal government.
Yes. Or they did not speak correctly in the first place. Language is a very, very big part of business analysis. So you want to practice being as precise in your language as possible. And this helps to avoid mix-ups and confusion. Okay? So if somebody wants to start to review really quickly what we went over last week, then I could be difficult and say I changed my mind.
Okay. And before we get into that, let's go through some of the things. So the team, they created some requirements and just high level requirements to pinpoint some of the needs of the customer. So being that Jessica was the first person to do it, if you don't mind, Jessica, I want you to facilitate this meeting. Okay. So you're the lead BA, right? And now what I want
Tony, can you get a little closer to the mic? It's hard to hear you.
Oh, it's hard to hear me?
Yes.
Can y'all hear me? Can everyone else hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly.
I can hear you.
Oh, all right. Well, what about now? I don't want to put my face on the mic or the camera.
I can hear you now. Go ahead.
All right. So what I would like is for Jessica to facilitate the meeting. And Jessica, what I'd like for you to do is to recap over last week, just the discussion and just high level, just a couple of things that you discussed, and you wanted to use this meeting to confirm what you covered last week. Okay. So, and then I'll go line for line on the requirements that you sent. And I want you to, and I want to show it on the screen here.
Okay.
I'll put it in Word real quick. It's coming up. All right. Give me a quick sec. All right. So for those who are on YouTube or Instagram, we're going to show these. These are high level requirements that were written, and then we're just confirming our understanding. Okay. All right, let's go here, and I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you all can see. All right. Yeah, see the screen? All right.
See it now.
So she just so the customer walks in the room. You shake her hand. Hey, welcome back. Blah blah blah. Annette, and go.
Hello, how are you?
Hi.
I'm Jessica, and this is and we're all business analysts, and we're just here to cover what we went over last week. And I wrote a couple of requirements that I would like to go over with you. Okay. So the first one that I wrote was customers should be allowed to use hashtag to search certain categories. And the next one's allow customer to be able to enter their zip code. Allow customers to save articles by adding it to their
hold on, let me just stop for a second. You're going through it too quick. Let's start with the first one and then allow her to give feedback. Okay?
Sorry.
All right. No problem.
So we'll just go over the first one. Customers should be allowed to use hashtag to search certain categories.
Okay, so hashtags. I guess those are good, but my sister told me it's better to search by just regular tags, and I think hashtags and tags are different.
Okay, so you don't want to do the hashtags and the search. You just want to do the search.
Yeah, but I want to search by tags. I don't want to search by hashtags.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. We can do. We can add a search box instead.
Okay. So you want to do the. So I'm her supporting VA. So I'm typing this inside of the presentation. So you said you rather use tags instead of hashtags?
Yes, because I think they're different.
Okay. All right. So I'll read over the requirement now that the change is there.
So does this sound better to you? The customer should be allowed to use tags to search certain categories.
Well, this is what I mean. So hashtags are like what you use for a particular subject matter, right?
Right.
And I think that that's what they're for. And then hashtags, I think, are used for like keywords. And since I want this application to pull in information from magazines and from blogs, I think that most people just use tags on their blogs, and then they might use hashtags for other publications like Twitter or Instagram.
So sorry for interjecting. So ma'am, so when you say tags, you mean like if you just type a word and then the system will like auto generate like a little block around the word? Is that what you mean as a tag?
Well, I don't know about a block. I don't really know what that means.
Okay, so
but when I say, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So let me explain. So when say for instance, someone is editing a post, or they have a article that they like to submit, and in the submission part, they would type what all subjects this would pertain to. Correct?
Yeah, that's what I mean by tags.
Okay, yes. So
because I write a blog myself, and
right.
Whenever I write something on my blog, I tag it with all the important words that I use in my blog post.
Okay, go ahead, Jessica. So.
Okay. So so would you like me to continue on to the next requirement?
Just clarify that, and well, you already went over this that requirement. So do we think we understand that, the team?
Do we all understand that?
Do we understand that requirement?
Yes, it's clear to me.
Okay, so not hashtag, but tags.
Yeah.
Okay, or I should say, let's call it
along with the tags.
Right. Okay. All right. Good. And maybe we add the subject tags to understand it, right? And then we can change this later. All right. Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay, so allow customer to be able to enter their zip code. Is that still something that you still agree with?
Yeah, I think that's really important because this app is for small businesses, but because it's for small businesses, the small businesses rely on their local communities for support. At least that's what my research has told me.
Right.
So small businesses get most of their support from the local communities. So if they need to see information that is relevant to their own community or the communities within a certain distance from them, then they need to be able to search by zip code, and they also need to be able to say, like that thing where you say, within so many miles of this zip code.
Okay, correct. So would you like us to add that, like the zip code, but also include, like add a tab where it says like 15 to 20 miles from that zip code?
Yeah, but I don't want 20 miles to be the limit. I want it to go like maybe in increments of 10, and I want it to go all the way out to 200 miles.
Okay.
And I'm saying that because I live in Dallas, and Houston, which is another big city, of course, is about 200 miles away. And so if I wanted to do some business as a Dallas small business, maybe with a Houston small business, I want to be able to see at least that distance.
Okay.
In miles, right?
Yes, in miles, not kilometers.
Okay. All right. So, what type of requirement is she speaking of when she's talking about the having their zip code gather information per 10 miles from all
Like a
up to
drop down
200?
box?
Excuse me?
Are you? I'm not sure if this answers the question, but I'm thinking like a drop down option where you can select which
Exactly.
how many miles do you want to do?
Right. That will be a function, but and so like say within the actual program, it's saying, okay, here's the zip code. I want it to gather, and online someone says I was given an answer, so I'm gonna give you two answers, and I'll talk about what they are. Is it a functional or non-functional requirement? So non-function, huh?
Is it functional?
There's the word everybody's saying functional. Functional, can we go with it?
Yeah.
Can we go with functional?
Mhm.
Okay. And so, and that's under, that will be part of the acceptance criteria under that requirement, right? So when you're capturing this information, we're just capturing just the requirement if that is okay. You just want to confirm that. The acceptance criteria, you can capture that and just save it for later if she's giving you that information so you won't lose it at the time. Go ahead, Jessica.
Okay. Wait. I want to add on to that requirement. Not only does it have to have the distance thing, but then I want a map. I want a map that shows business A and business B.
Okay. So like business A and business B, do you mean
Business,
like
go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
like you're talking about the distance between two different small businesses?
Yeah. So like I was giving the example about if I'm in Dallas and there might be a small business in Houston that's like really similar to mine, or it could be a business that I want to do business with, like a business to business relationship, then I want a map to show me where this business is in that other place.
Okay.
So to confirm again, you want the map that shows business A and business B. So you want the map to show between business A and business B. I just want to clarify.
I want the map to show between business A and business B, but maybe we can get that really neat thing where you can actually see the other business, like from the street view.
Like Google Maps.
So you want a graphic? Are you saying that shows the other business, like a business graphic, business building?
Well, when I bought my house last year, I went on Google Earth because I wanted to see what the house looked like before I actually drove over there. So I could do that. How come I can't do that with another business?
Jessica?
Yeah, we'll talk to the team and see if we can make that happen.
Okay, so let me pause for a second just to ask a few questions. So the knowing what we're doing, there's two things. What we want to ask, and this is someone, Ron, online asked this question. Is this in scope? Like, is this a part of the work that we're doing? And also, can it be integrated with Google Maps? So sometimes it would take, like how you said, Jessica, you did the right thing, by saying, you can revisit it in shorter words, because you have to do that research to see what will be a workable solution for her. So now that you know that, and then when you go back to the drawing board, you would later clarify that specific requirement once you obtain, that knowledge. Thank you, Ron. Good job. So keep going. Good job, by the way.
So the next one's allow customers to save articles by adding it to their briefcase.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So allow customers to save articles by adding it to the briefcase. And the briefcase is like the library you said you.
Okay, I don't think I like that word briefcase anymore. I don't like it. I want to pick something else.
Did you have something in mind?
No, I'm gonna think about it.
Or would you like to hear other ideas maybe?
Yeah, maybe some other ideas. I use that one thing. It's an extension on my web browser. It's called Pocket. I think it's basically the same thing, but it's like putting things in your pocket. But I don't like briefcase because the briefcases are old-fashioned, and we don't want to be having any words that are old-fashioned in this. So we'll have to think of something else.
Or
maybe we could call it a shelf, because they're reading articles and books.
Oh, a shelf. That sounds better than briefcase, yes. But the shelf really makes sense because these things may not, the app is really supposed to be pulling things from magazines and journals and blogs. So more from digital publications, not necessarily from hard copies. So maybe a shelf doesn't work.
What about an e-shelf? You can make up your own word.
We could make up our own word. Now that's an idea. We'll have to talk to the people in marketing. Please write that down.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk to marketing for this one for us to revisit. We can have a conversation with them. So now that she told you that, this will be considered like an action item. So you will want to document this as an action item for you to set up a meeting to clarify this specific requirement, and that is to allow customers to save articles by adding it to their e-shelf, or we have to come up with a name for that. So that's why I put the question mark on that. All right, so good job, Jessica. Go ahead.
Okay, so the next one's add a pop-up asking customers to allow the app to access location.
Yeah, I think that we definitely need that, especially with the fact that I just said that I wanted to add that map feature on there. So I think the map needs to know where we are, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so I think that's a good pop-up to have.
Okay. So she's confirming that. Go ahead.
So you would like a locate me option?
Yes, I would like a locate me option, or, well, maybe there doesn't have to be. I don't know. Can you find out if there has to be a locate me option? Because if I'm registered on the website, and I'm not sure if we talked about registration yet, but if I'm registered on the website, haven't I already told the application where I am? Does there need to be an additional thing that says, where are you?
We can make note of that and talk to the team and see what they have to say about it. As far as I know, I believe you have the option to provide your location once you log in, but you also have the option to deny.
I think it may be just because maybe when you can be in a different location from whenever you started or you downloaded the app. So maybe you're visiting, like I'm from North Carolina, but I'm going to Texas and I'm visiting Texas, and they want to ask me my location just because I'm in a different place from whenever I was when I downloaded the app.
I hear what you're saying, but does that really make sense in this case? Because if I'm a small business owner, I'm not really going to be, if I'm a small business owner and I'm concerned about doing business with my community and with the other businesses that are within a certain distance of my community, am I really going to travel like I'm in Dallas now? When I go to New York, am I going to be looking for other businesses way over in New York? I'm not sure. Does anybody know if there's a business case for that?
We can definitely look into it.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah, we can look into it and then let you know for sure.
Yeah, because I'm not entirely sure and I don't want to give you any misinformation.
So so we have some feedback online where someone stated that maybe we could write the requirement to say the system shall have the location default as registered users zip code, and then those who are, and then have another one for the zip code search for those who are not registered. That could be 2 requirements right there.
That's a good idea.
What do you think about that, Annette?
Well, that's a good idea, but I'm just not sure if I want to market this particular product to people who don't want to be registered. I mean, the thing that I'm thinking of is that I want people to be registered. I just don't want a bunch of random businesses in our database and we don't even know where they are. How can we know what articles are useful to people? You know, how can we know what other publications to add in or publications to get rid of if we don't know what kind of people are reading them, where those people are located, and whether or not they're valuable? Because I don't know. I'm from Texas, so we have a lot of small businesses with Southwest attire, for example. You're not going to get, if a small business was in New York, you're not going to see a whole bunch of business out there selling Southwest attire. You would only see that in certain places. And so I would want my content to kind of be tailored to where I'm at. How can I do that if I have a database full of businesses who won't tell me where they are?
I'll let you all answer that because I don't want to always interrupt. I don't want to give the answer just yet. Hey, how you doing, Noah?
I think you have a really good point, and I think maybe it should be required to, like, for them to, whenever they do download the app, to say where their business is and like the location. But I think maybe the access the location just would be for maybe if they're looking to like relocate somewhere else.
It's not often that small businesses relocate. More often they open up another branch or another office, but they don't actually relocate. That doesn't really happen very often. So again, this app is tailored more toward people who are staying in place. And I kind of want to stay with that. So I think if you can go off and ask some technical questions, I'm going to go back and talk with some more of my people and from a business perspective and make sure that we are really targeting the people that we want to target. It seems like it might be a little vague at this point, and I don't want to cause our technical people to be creating things that are not necessary. I don't want them to have to leave things open for something that we don't really want to happen to begin with.
So so this requirement particular, are you saying,
well, what did I say originally? What was the requirement originally?
add a pop-up asking customers to allow the app to access location?
Yeah, let's kind of shove it. Let's put this one as we need to do some more because we might be able to get rid of this. I mean, there may not be a need for a pop-up, unless, of course, your technical people say, no, we still have to do it because that's the way it works.
Okay.
I don't know. And I don't want to tell the technical people what to do. But as far as I'm concerned, at this particular moment, from a business perspective, we want everybody to register their address when they sign up for the app.
Okay. Sounds good.
So that's a thing. That's a to-do item that I have to take care of on my side too.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so she's calling out an action item, and she's saying that there's something that she's going to have to do as well. So in each one of these meetings, you want to document your action item, which in this case is going to research to see what will be a better solution for this requirement, and she's going to work with her technical teams. So, when you can, like, if you're the only BA and this is the only person that's in your meeting, I know it's hard to take notes. That's why it's good to have some support there. So you will write down her action item for Annette to meet to discuss with the technical team to further.
No, I'm not going to discuss with the technical team. She needs to do that. I'm going to go back to my business colleagues and verify the true audience that we're going after.
So business colleague.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I can correct this. Ensure requirement All right. So that's an action item. So
Okay.
you're going to discuss with your business colleague. That's a part of the business, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Take it away, Jessica.
Okay, and our action item would be to like discuss with the technical.
Okay. Yeah. Let me add that. Discuss for our BA team, discuss with the tech team to have, maybe we could just have um, a discussion about that, and they can give some of the ideas of what will make sense, and then you back that up with information. So if they have stuff that you have to print out, or you with your research and like what's being used in the market today, that's the type of information you're going to gather. And then, but what you want to do is see if you can meet her concerns, and then say, we also did research when you come back to them in the next meeting to confirm this requirement. Okay. All right. So move on to the next one.
Okay, so the next one, build a function to allow customers to share an article to social media. Do you still agree with that?
Yeah, I still agree with that. But I think that we only want specific social medias. We only want to share to specific social media.
Okay, like specific, like what? Like which one?
Well, I don't like Facebook anymore, so I'm gonna leave them on. But I do want to make sure to include LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter, definitely Twitter. And then you should also be able to share it to your own blog, like the big blogging platform. So like WordPress and Blogger and what's that other one? What's that other blogging platform?
Blogspot?
No, that's not it. Tumblr. Tumblr. Yeah, Tumblr.
So reconfirm to her what she just stated.
Okay.
Jessica?
So you wanted LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, share with your own blog, WordPress, and Tumblr?
And Blogger. And Blogger.
Okay.
So Instagram, I believe, has an option where if you share an article or a picture or a post of any kind, you're able to link that with your Facebook account. And on Facebook, it will say that you shared that article on Instagram. Do you want that option to stay through Instagram, or would you want to get rid of that too, since you don't want to include Facebook?
Oh, so they're connected?
Yes, they are connected.
So does it only go one way, like Instagram to Facebook, or does it go Facebook to Instagram too?
I believe it only goes Instagram to Facebook, but I will double check for you and I'll confirm that with you once I'm 100%.
Okay. Well, if they're already connected, then I guess that would be okay.
Okay.
But I just, you hear so much stuff about people getting on Facebook and then they just get lost and they waste a lot of time. I don't really want our application to be associated with time wasting.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to stay away from the time wasters.
Okay. All right, so we'll look more into that and see if you're able to share it from Facebook as well, and we'll make sure that if it's only connected from Instagram to Facebook, then you said it would be okay to include it that way, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll make note of that.
Okay. So our next requirement is allow customers to turn volume on and off by clicking on the ad. Do you still agree with them?
Yeah, I want people to be able to turn the volume on and off by clicking on the ad, and I want that to be very easy to do. The other day, I was going through something, and this loud ad just started playing immediately. It's like I had no choice, and I hated that. And then I was trying to find a way to turn it off, and I couldn't find it. It was horrible.
So how would you want it to be easier?
I just want the volume button to be clearly visible.
Okay.
And yes, we do plan on making money by advertisement, but again, our target audience is small business owners. And if these small business owners are using this application at their desk or something like that, I don't want this loud sound blaring out where they can't turn it off pretty quickly. That might disturb their customers or clients or whatever that is. And I don't want the sound to be on by default either. I want them to actually have to turn the sound on so they can hear it. It needs to be quiet by default.
Okay.
Would you also like for them to have the option to skip the ad? Because a lot of the times when you are on social media platforms or you're using any application of this kind, you are given the option to skip the ad after a certain amount of time. So let's say it says you can skip ad in 5 seconds or something like that. Would you want that to be added?
Well, that's a really good idea, but I want to say to you that I'm still talking to the marketing department about that, because again, our app is going to be funded strictly by ads. We're not going to charge people to download this app or to use it. So we can't completely limit the visibility of these advertisements. Otherwise, no one will want to advertise on our app. We can't do that. Okay. So our marketing department is trying to figure out different ways where people can skip past the ad, or hear like 5 or 6 ads at once and then not hear another ad for another 30 minutes or something like that. I'm sorry, I don't have enough information yet on that one. So we will probably have to come back to that, because we haven't yet figured out how to keep profits up, but yet allow people to skip through things that they don't normally want to see.
Okay. So we'll get back to that once you are informed about it.
Okay. So our next is allow customers to save password to their device.
Save the password to where now? Where did you say?
To their device.
Read the requirement all over from the top.
Allow customer to save password to their device.
Oh, to their device so they don't have to log in every single time? Absolutely, we need that. We need as many time savers as we can get. Yeah.
And by this, does it matter like if they do just, we allow the phone to either do like the fingerprint or like the face recognition?
Oh, wow. That's really something. Maybe the fingerprint, but not the facial recognition. There are still too many problems with that technology.
Now, the next one's, so at least, that one we agree on, just that requirement. So the next one's allow customers to share articles with group within the app.
Well,
that'll kind of be like direct messaging, like the Instagram option where you can send somebody a direct message, whether it be a post or a video or anything of that kind.
I guess that will be okay. Does anybody, somebody else thought of this, and so we just said it because somebody else thought of this. What would happen if we didn't do it that way? Does anyone know?
If we don't allow for them to share it with other people that are using the app?
Yeah. Does anybody have any experience in that? What would happen if you don't do that?
I think that a lot of the users won't be willing to use the app as much in that case, because a lot of the times when people are using apps like this, they like to share things with their friends and family. So if they're not able to do that, that will be a setback, and they might not want to use the app just because of that reason.
But again, the app is not for friends and family. The app is for small business owners.
That is correct.
But it also might be beneficial for the business owner to share within people within the business, or if he creates like a second location, it might be useful.
Well, again, this app is for small business owners. I'm wondering how many small business owners are sending things to their employees or whatever to sit down and read while they're on the clock.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying that a majority of the small business owners probably would not care for that feature. But the point of having that feature available is to increase the target audience. So to be able to attract as many people or any small business owners as you can, given that there would be some business owners that might be interested in the app because of that feature, or increasingly interested.
Okay, so do you have anything that says that having this will increase the interest in the app? Is there anything that says that? Because I've never heard that.
We don't really have, I personally don't really have any research to support that, not that I know of, but I could look into it a little more. That's just something that I'm saying out of personal experience, which I believe that a lot of people would be interested in, but no, I do not have anything to back that statement up.
Okay.
So we're confirming data that supports what? What is the statement that we want to use? So
that was a question for me, or
yeah,
Annette?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you said we're looking for data to support what?
Yes.
I believe what she's asking for is data to support the claim that more people would be interested in using the app if that feature is provided. That's what I understood, but I could be wrong.
Is that correct, Annette?
Yeah, that's totally correct, because what I don't want to do is hold up the development of features that, from the business perspective, don't really that don't really do or seem to add any value for us. Now, if this app is, it was suggested by my department, but even though it was suggested by my department, more than just my department is going to make use of it. So if there are other stakeholders that believe that having that feature would be, you need to find out about that. I mean, the app is not just for my department, the app belongs to the company. So the company needs to benefit from it. If you're saying that other departments in the company are going to benefit from it, then we need to find out how or why. But right now, I don't see those people.
Okay, we'll look more into that, and I'll get back to you about that.
And when you have a team of people, a team of your team members, try to use the word "we."
Oh yeah, okay.
Because it shows that you're a unit, and you want to show that unity with your team, that you guys are working together.
Got it.
All right. So, go ahead, Jessica.
Okay. So the next one is customers should have the ability to filter certain categories.
Filtering categories. Again, I'm not really sure if filtering categories is the right word. I know I said that last time, but I'm not sure at this point if that makes any sense. Because if we already have the ability to search by tag, where do the categories come in? Aren't the tags a kind of category?
You're right, that is one way to put in like a categorical option, but providing multiple options. So I think by adding that feature where you're able to filter out certain topics or certain businesses, or narrow down your search a little more using a second option, I feel like that's a good way to increase accessibility for the users. So it might just make it easier for them, given that they might not find the tag option as easy to use as they would find the filtering option. For the line.
Okay. Well, did anybody kind of look at Flipboard since our last meeting? Does Flipboard have that option to search by categories?
Let's take a look at that. I'll pull it up really quick, and then we're going to observe Flipbook, the Flipbook application. If you have it on your phone, go ahead and look at that. Flipbook.
Well, they definitely have a search bar.
Right. So, how's it spelled? Is it spelled differently? Is it?
I think it's Flipboard.
Yeah, Flipboard.
Oh, Flipboard. I put Flipbook.
Flipboard.
Okay. Flipboard.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay.
I'm sure Flipbook is app as well.
Yeah. Okay, I found it. All right. So let me share my screen. Let's see. Flipboard. Okay. Hold on. Here we are. So this is Flipboard.
Okay. It seems to me like the fact that they provided those several different options, including featured, technology, news, that is a way to filter the content that you're seeing.
Okay, but aren't they hashtags though?
No, these wouldn't be hashtags, I don't think.
Oh, those are not hashtags that they're using there?
No, these are not hashtags. These are under which they have articles that are similar or that fall under that same category.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, what order you were saying you want to provide multiple ways for people to kind of filter these categories, the content, but how does Flipboard, what is the first filter that you can apply, and then the second one, and does it even have a third one? I don't know how to best.
I'm sorry. Whenever you download Flipboard, I know because I downloaded it myself to see how it worked. Whenever you downloaded Flipboard, it asked you to choose 3 topics that you're interested in that you want to know articles about.
So the topics would be like the categories that you were just mentioning?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so when you first download it, it asks you that in the beginning. But wait a minute, I don't want I don't want people to be limited by only 3.
You have the option to change that in your settings as you go. That's just something to start with. And you also have the option to skip that if you want to use more than 3. If you want to be provided with content that falls into more than 3 of those categories.
It just narrowed it down a little bit more into what you're looking for instead of such a broad.
So let me clarify with the team, what they're saying as well. What I interpret is that having the most common topics that are, or categories that are commonly searched, it would be a benefit to have those featured items available for them to click to, and then scroll to see what they would like best. But this is for the most common. So if we could do research on your as-is state to see what are the most common categories, that would help and be beneficial for your app, so that the user will be able to find those similar, those most common categories in this future state.
But is it the most common categories that we're looking for?
Yeah.
Or is it the
Good
categories
question.
that they are interested, the users themselves, like each individual user is interested in?
Good question.
I don't think that really has to do with commonality. I think it has to do more with personal preference.
Yeah. Good question.
Well, I happen to agree with what the young lady just said, because remember, we're talking about small businesses, and small businesses exist in every single kind of industry you can possibly imagine. So I don't know what we would be able to call the most common. I don't know if that makes sense in this particular case.
So so now that she said that, and she shut that totally down on the most common categories. So as BAs, she's saying she wants something. What did she confirm that she actually wanted?
Categories?
Or the tags.
Yeah, but she said she agreed with the young lady. What did she agree to?
About the personal preferences.
So confirm that.
So you don't want the most common. You just want personal preferences regarding what their business is about.
Yes. I don't know. When we say the most common, I don't really agree with that word. That makes me uncomfortable, because
I think her call dropped.
We'll wait for her to come back. So now, and she's going back as a stakeholder. She's going back before. Let us know when you're back on. But she's speaking as a stakeholder, like, hey, I don't agree with the most common. So confirm to her, okay, so not, we understand you're not comfortable with that. So would you, and then reconfirm what she already said she was going to agree to for the user
Okay.
preferences. So when she jumps back on, hit her with that again. So you can move on because you want to like move the meeting along and don't, go into a blabbering session with this person just talking about all the possibilities and what they don't like. Once they said they don't like it, you had enough information for them to say, okay, you don't want to do it. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. The user preferences. You want the user to define that when they first register. What other questions can you ask to kind of get some understanding of how that should work? And anyone online, chime in if you want to add to, if you already know. So the requirement, again, just until she drops in, is the customer should have the ability to filter certain categories. And it was discussed that she did not want the main most common categories on this app. She would like user preferences. So what does that look like? Is it going to be in the registration, or so they will have it catered to their business and what information they're interested in, or will it be something else? Let her define that. And she's still not on. So how do you think everything is going thus far?
Yeah.
All right. So in these meetings, you'll have the type of the customers or clients who would give you problems about the things that they told you about. Well, I had to think about it, and I don't like that anymore. And they may be confirming something that that is not going to be feasible for them, but you can't speak on it right now. Exactly. You can't speak on it right now until you do that research.
But my question is, how do you know when to stop going back and having these meetings? Because to me, it seems like the kind of customer or stakeholder or whatever you want to call it that she was playing, that person seemed to have their preferences changing constantly.
Mm-hmm.
So how would you know when to stop going back and having these meetings? Because there comes a point where you have to stop, so you can actually build the program or make the necessary changes. So how do you know that?
Okay, so there's several things, because depending on the scenario, you can go either a few ways, right? So the question is, how do you know? How do you gauge, not to get in those rambling sessions where you're having so many meetings and they never decide? Short of words, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
How do you know when to stop?
All right. So, and someone answered online, which is really good, a good point. Annette, are you on? Can you hear us, Annette? Because we see you. We can't hear you yet. So fix your audio and just say something and we'll start. Okay.
I think she froze.
Yeah. Can you hear us? We can't hear you. When we hear you, then we're gonna we'll respond to you. So so these are some of the things that I do. So just know that the requirements this is a living document. When it ends is when the project ends. And if you're in an agile project, that is being developed in user stories, and it will always, once it's complete, that feature is complete and it's tested and it's confirmed, it's the product owners or the project manager to back you up if they keep trying to change. Now, if you're in a traditional waterfall, traditional project where they're writing all these requirements in the beginning for something that's going to be in 2 years and it may change with that, the impact is more severe. But when it's in an agile world, the change is not going to be so severe because you can just go back and make the addition to the requirement, and then the developers can implement it. But to answer your question directly, you want to get them to buy in. So once you confirm that and say, okay, this seems like a pretty good start, to get started on this work, and we'll work with the dev team to start to develop this feature, or we can create a prototype. You want to have those type of discussions, and if they're unsure. So let's see what we could do. We'll continue to define this. This is a live document. However, the dev team will start to develop, and we want to present to you or demo this requirement to you when the time comes. Otherwise, if this is not a director or some person in higher leadership, if this is just like, the business, and you will want to speak to your project manager, depending on your scenario, your project manager, and let them know, like, you may need them on this call, because we're going to discuss this requirement, and I don't think it's feasible, and you have to back it up with data so you can, so she can help support you. So sometimes you have to bring in support, and we have someone online who's saying, Daryl, and this determines what it sounds repetitive to reduce unnecessary meetings. So and that's a good point, because you want to have a productive meeting, and when you find that you're spending too much time on this, and say, how about we just table this and we work with what we have. We're going to table this for the purpose of having, to covering all the requirements, because we have a lot to cover. And another person is saying, good idea, and bring a lead developer to the meeting. Great idea. You want to bring somebody technical to the meeting, and if something is not feasible, they'll be able to speak on that. And then, of course, the stakeholder knows that they're not an expert. So the developer will help you shut that down if that's the case.
So what you're saying is that you don't really end these meetings until the project ends.
Yes.
So you have the final product. These meetings keep going.
Yes, like.
But you change. You kind of like shift the direction of the meeting depending on whether there's like blabbering going on, because sometimes that tends to happen.
Mm-hmm. And also Annette
said something.
Yeah, Annette said you can also quickly put questionable requirements to the side. So if this is still questionable, we'll come back to it. Table the goddamn thing, and only talk about the requirements you're sure about.
But what if there's two requirements that are linked? So like when we were talking about, let's say, what am I trying to say?
Take your time. Keep thinking about that. I'll say something with someone else online is saying. They're saying they can be signed off by the business rep or product owner. So the product owner will be the acting like project manager, and they'll go to the business and say, look, this I need you to confirm this, that, and the third. Here are the high level requirements that were discussed. They'll go back to the business, a group of individuals that be assigned to this project, not just that one person, and they'll also confirm. And then they said, ask them to mark it as a must have or a nice to have. Good point. Good point. Now, is this a must have or a nice to have? Because that's a big difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the example that I was trying to use to explain my point was the example of social media, like the thing that we were talking about earlier, where she said that, she definitely wants Twitter and like Instagram and this other app that she talked about to be connected to the app that we're trying to create. But at the same time, she said she wasn't really interested in Facebook being connected. So do we put the whole social media thing on the back burner because of that? Because we're unsure if we want Facebook to be included, especially since I said Instagram and Facebook are linked. Do we put the whole thing on the back burner, or do we just put that Facebook component of it? Because it is linked to Instagram.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
In this case, I would produce everything except for that until they sign off on it. And then like if you're writing like someone Ron is saying online, sometimes you'll have to document like who signed off on this, put their name behind it via email. So we confirm this. So after this meeting, you're going to confirm these and say, hey, we confirm these requirements, blah, blah, blah. And, or sometimes you'll have to, you'll be writing your requirements in Confluence or Excel, whatever method that users use, or if they're using like user stories. You always want to notate who signed off on it to back you up, so that it won't come biting you back in the backside.
Okay, so in this particular example, what we would do is that we would still go through with the social media thing with Instagram and everything, but for the time being, we won't do anything about Facebook. So later on, if they say that they don't want Facebook to be connected through Instagram, then we can make that change if necessary. But for now, we're still going to go through with Facebook and Twitter, and then later on we can change that.
Yeah, but and also understand that, and Annette is saying, if you can show the business that this still, if it has more questions than requirements, it's easier to talk to people into putting it down until more is known. You know, so like the whole Facebook feature, that's just one little small touch of all the things that she listed. So
yeah,
I would still produce that. And then online, Ron is saying also make sure she wants to leave out. You want to show the benefit, the data behind. You want to leave out millions of Facebook users who are have local businesses that thrive in the community, in community engagement. So
okay, so we're allowed to we're authorized to kind of provide that advice, even if they're refusing to.
Yeah. Okay,
I think she said yes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So let's keep going, Jessica. We have one more requirement, then we're done. Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask questions. It's okay. Keep asking. Go ahead. Hit it.
So the last question is, allow customers to add their business when signing up. Is this something that you still agree with?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Did you want them to, would you like to add, to maybe like be able to add their business to like I remember you said you don't want to add hashtag, but would you like maybe like to add businesses with like a hashtag and be able to like click on a business?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Like, I'm thinking of how on Instagram you can, hold on one second. I'm sorry. I need to put my phone, okay. So I'm thinking how on Instagram you can claim your business name, right?
Correct.
All right, so
I think that
for
that's a good idea.
Who's online, really good questions. Can y'all hear me?
So we'll add it.
Okay, they can't hear me. All right, good. So really good questions, and so they're on the last requirement. And one of the things, can y'all hear me? Go ahead.
I can't see the screen.
Oh, you can't see the screen?
Oh, did
You
stop
can't see.
sharing?
Oh, did I stop sharing?
Oh, we can see you. We can see your desktop right now.
Oh, okay. Well, let me.
I guess it turned off.
Oh, there it goes. What about that? Can you see it now?
Yeah, we see it. I see it now.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. So, our hyperlink
But
save
can
character
we add
space
that
for a
to
more aesthetic look.
Oh, there's a note that
Hello?
needs to be added. I think Tony, you were taking notes.
Yes. What is the note that I need to add?
You're on mute. I don't know if you know that.
What is the note I need to add?
That's a good question. I was half
About
president, half not.
allowing a hashtag to be added into a business.
When they sign up? Not hashtag, but tags. You know, she said.
Tags, no hashtags. I'm still not sure if I understand the difference between them.
I could show you if I could think of. You know who has that function? Is I think LinkedIn has that function. I think they have
The
tags.
tag.
The tag function, not the hash. They also have hashtags. But I've seen it most in like blogs and things.
Instagram has it, so and like hashtag, I don't know, socks, and then everything that's tagged with socks will come up. You can also search for socks, and then you'll get like companies
All right,
that
so I'm on mute for
have
the
stock in their
meeting.
name.
Y'all have
Okay.
any other questions? Because this was a great session.
Tony, you're on mute again.
Why is everybody's voice echoing?
Yeah, everybody's voice is echoing. I don't know why. Let me check. Let me check. It may be my app. Hold on.
Really echoing.
Hello?
Yeah,
We can hear you.
that was my app.
Okay.
I think that
Okay.
it could have been me. All right, go
Probably
ahead.
now it's not happening anymore.
So,
Okay, can everybody hear me?
mhm.
I hear you.
Okay, great. All right. So I think that you guys challenging these questions and things, I mean, you're on the right path, because remember, this happens, how I was acting is totally realistic. I think Tony can attest to that. And a lot of times you will find that people will make suggestions on changes or new pieces of software and all this kind of stuff, but they purposely or sometimes mistakenly will leave out other stakeholders, and they don't know what the requirements are for the other stakeholders. Because if you notice, I kept saying, oh, I have to talk to marketing. I have to talk to marketing. Well, you would think that a person who is suggesting an app for an entire company had already talked to marketing about all these things, right? You would think that. But apparently, I mean, it happens all the time that they haven't talked to certain people. So sometimes you have to go back and you have to go to the marketing department and say, hey, did you know these people suggested this application? And now they've got all these marketing questions. And we want to make sure that you guys are, you have, we get your input from you, not from hearsay. We get it
What's the statement of
directly
this question
from you.
I'm going to ask? What's this?
And you want to do that because, again, it's not just that one department spending money. Sometimes it's the entire company spending money. Now, sometimes you do have cases where it's just one department spending their money, and then they have all the say-so. But you have to find those things out in the beginning.
So let me ask a question. So what if in this company, you're going to the marketing team, they give you one thing, and they say, well, if you want to know more from about this feature, you got to go to this other group. And then this other group said, okay, yeah, now that we gave you this, you have to go to this group to get that information. How would you facilitate that? How would you engage those teams? What would be a good way? And Annette, do not answer that.
Oh, I thought you were asking.
Yeah.
I'm
out
asking.
in the middle of the question.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, what if they're telling you to go to one department? Yeah, you got that clarity, and then you go to another department. They're saying, oh, well, you go to this other department. What technique can you use as a VA to help?
Have them all together in a meeting.
That's what I'm looking for. Have them all in the meeting, because you know what is the most common thing with these companies is
They're not all on the same page.
they're not aligned. They're not on the same page, and you have to tear down those silos, and this is what plagues most companies, that they don't talk to each other. And you'll notice a big one with the business and the developer and the technical team. There's always, in most cases, a gap. The business will say, hey, these are what the kind of requirements we want. And the developers say, okay, we understand, when there's no BA, of course. Okay, we'll develop it. And then they go to demo the product, and the business say, that's not what we asked for. And it's a wrap. And then they have to start the damn thing all over again. So somebody said, can it differ who has to speak with the marketing team or other teams? Will the business reps sometimes own their own action items? That's a good question. And then, or are BAs usually expected to have meetings with all different stakeholders? I think we answered that one. Get them all together. So the answer came from, who was that answered that? Was it Jessica or Hajira?
It was Annette.
Annette, to have them all come to one meeting?
Oh, no, that was Jessica.
That was Jessica, yes. So focus group, that technique, having focus group to discuss, for just a couple of meetings to get all of those specific things for that requirement right. If you don't cover it in one meeting, make sure you cover it. And then once you get a confirmation of how that is going to be written and put the acceptance criteria under it, you will now have that confirmation from the team. All right, and then plus the collaboration, like Daryl said, increases the morale. So with that being said, this is the end of the meeting. And so the next step, the output for this, when you have certain ones that are confirmed, and other ones you have unconfirmed still, so you have to come back to those. So once you confirm, and as you're going through the whole year or whatever you're doing as far as writing these requirements, you're going to go through different sessions like this, and you have to use different techniques on different people. We have to have different soft skills to understand how to influence people. Sometimes having their manager there will make them act differently. Sometimes the manager needs a developer there for them to stop blabbing and push you around. I'm saying it like this because this is like real things that I went through, and as BAs, we have to know how to facilitate ourselves. I mean, we had to know how to conduct ourselves and know how to influence. I said facilitate ourselves. Sometimes you got to facilitate yourself too. Right? So with that being said, so the output of this is you're going to start writing inside of wherever you write your requirements. If you do in Agile, you're writing the user stories. So I'm gonna give you just a quick example. So the last one, it says allow a customer to add their business when signing up, right? So as a user, who's the customer? So as a Flipbook user or whatever the name of this news app, the news app user, I want the ability to add my business. That's the function, adding their business. And what is the value of adding their business? What will make it more valuable? You know what I'm saying? And that will be your ending statement of you have to come up with what is the benefit for them to add their business. What is going to be the benefit for them? So now they signed up, they're going to have the location of whatever their demographic is. You have to think of what is going to make it valuable for them. That is what makes a good requirement in Agile, and also outside of Agile, creating that value. So with that being said, so the things that we want to understand next is Agile itself. And then how to, we're going to have different Agile events, Scrum events that as BAs normally that we wouldn't attend or we wouldn't have a voice in, so to speak, as they say, but I'll show you how to finagle that. And then we're going to do some other items where we're going to develop some soft skills, the emotional intelligence, as well as the 7 active management behaviors. All right. So all that is going to come soon. And Thank you everyone for joining. I appreciate you all. Well done, Jessica. Well done, team. And still send me your other requirements. How do you think they did, Annette? And how do you think they did, by the way?
I'm clapping.
Clapping?
Yes, I'm clapping.
Thank you, Annette.
Yeah. So they did a good job asking questions, and
They did a good job asking questions, and when they started to challenge what I was saying, that's a really good job, because you'll find out that people will, like somebody pointed out, well, she said this, but then she turned around and said that. That seems to clash. It doesn't really make sense. So yes, ask questions.
And everybody online said, nicely done. Y'all did a great job. And, keep up the good work. So
Thank you.
That's a wrap, everyone. And I'll see y'all Sunday.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Annette. Thank you, Tony. Thanks,
All right.
Bye.
Good night. And Annette, call me after this. All right.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Yeah. So so let me stop this before I start talking, right? So great job. Hajra did a great job. Jessica did a great job. And Viata, everybody asked the BA questions that's necessary in order to be an effective BA. So somebody just called, so I had to block the call real quick. So I just want to say thank you for viewing. There's more to come, and the team is ready. And oh God, I'll call them. They keep calling me. So the team is ready, and the team of BAs that are a part of our team is really developing, and they're fast learners. That's one thing for sure. So let me know what type of scenarios or what businesses that you like to feature. So in the future here on Instagram or on our YouTube channel, we could go over requirements for certain businesses, like dealing with security. Who talks about that? Yeah. Who talks about the security? Who talks about these things? So we want to discuss this. So thank you, and wait till the next session. I'm gonna post it online, and then we're gonna get started through the next thing. And I'm gonna slowly go into pure agile, and then come back out of it as the BA. But I want to show all of these techniques and things that we're doing in order to be effective. This is Tony the BA, Arriagada. Peace. Oh, by the way, let me stop my other session with Hey, what's good?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hold on, I'm trying to hang up